study is example of what? What kind of epidemiological study? Tell me.
Descriptive.
Descriptive. And let me tell you, I told you again in the previous session, like now I told you just it can be analytical also. Mostly it is descriptive and observational study. Cross-sectional study is example of observational descriptive study. Now, the commonest study done by public health student. It is also known as the prevalence study because we have the denominator I told you. This is a set of population. Instantaneous study, it is or simultaneous study. That means it is cross-sectional in a snapshot of time, like how we take the screenshot. It is not longitudinal in nature. It is also known as survey. So cross-section means single point of time in a like a snapshot of time. Now cross-sectional design. This looks like this. So here there is exposure, certain exposure. So this is our study population. You see, at a single point of time, this bar represents our study population. So what in that cross section of time we can see? Having the disease, not having the disease. And as I told you, as the example of anemia among reproductive aged women, like the WRA, that is the factors which are playing role behind not developing the disease or developing this disease. So we are analyzing or we are doing the running the analysis all at a single point of time. How? Like what is the characteristic then? No intervention. Observational means no intervention, no control over exposure, condition, anything. So the researcher have no control over that. Only what he is doing, he is observing, he is just describing based on who, when, and where. Study unit individual. Study only the survivors or stayers. So as I told you in the prevalence, we are not considering who have already died, who have lost, who have migrated, only those who are staying, who are the survival of that disease. If we are studying what is the prevalence of lung carcinoma, we are not taking into account who have already died of the disease from the same population, only those who are surviving. Study unit studied at one point of time like a snapshot of a population. No follow-up, only the snapshot of population. Second point, it deals with existing situation at a given time or during a given time period in a group of population. So at a single time, I told you, exposure and outcome measured at the same time. It is not that outcome has occurred before or exposure has occurred before. We do not even know. So this study, remember, lacks the most disadvantage of it. This study cannot establish the temporal association, the temporality of disease. So as exposure and outcome are measured at the same time, we never conclude from this study that this exposure has occurred before the outcome. Okay, you understood? Usually used to study conditions that are relatively frequent with a long duration of exposure, because those we are only considering those diseases which are non-fatal conditions with many survivors. Okay, so those studies we are actually dealing with, those diseases we are dealing with cross-sectional study. Now, usual scheme, that is what you are often asked this question, what are the steps of the study? You can write this: identifying or defining a population or proper sample, measure a range of variables on an individual basis, that there will be a reference or control group, no, absent, because these are present only in case of the analytical study, and we do analysis based on whatever data we have gathered from that population. So defined population. So can any of you give me the title or research question of your UG project? Any one of you? So that we can easily cover this cross-sectional study, getting that example.
A study of nutritional status among undergraduate medical students.
Among medical students.
Undergraduate medical students.
Undergraduate medical students. So the nutritional status of undergraduate medical student. Very good. So our research question here is, what is the nutritional status of undergraduate medical student? This is our research question. So what is the condition we are studying here? That is nutritional status. This is the condition we are studying. Among who are our population? It is the undergraduate medical student. So we have defined the population, the undergraduate medical student. This is the undergraduate medical student is our population, right? But for your study, what you have taken into account, that is the sample, right? We do not call it population first. We call the sample. So from this population, what is the sample of yours? That may be like the sample means the undergraduate medical students may be from your college only. What may be the college? X college, not all the college over the India. Okay, so that is we are defining our sample from a single college. Maybe we are taking all the medical students, like what we call that universal sampling, okay, or complete enumeration. We are taking into account all the students from first year to the final year, or we have calculated the sample size that may be whatever 200 or 300, and this many students we have selected from this population, that is undergraduate medical student of college X. That is the defining of the population, right? Now so defining is done. From where, what school, maybe what village, how we are defining the population. Now, maybe I told you analytical study can be descriptive or maybe both. Okay, it can be descriptive, it can be both. How? Like now, what we need to do is that after we have selected the study population, this is after we have selected this study population, suppose 200 or 300 students, 200 is our sample size, 200 undergraduate medical students we have selected. Now we need to know, we need to measure what is the nutritional status of these 200 students, right? So we are measuring the condition of our interest, that is nutritional status. It can be anemia, it can be anxiety, it can be imposter syndrome, it can be anything. We are just measuring one particular condition that is in our research question, that is nutritional status. So after measuring that, there will be few students who have good nutrition, there will be few students who have bad nutrition. Suppose we are telling that good nutrition means there is normal nutrition, or people who are suffering from undernourishment or overnourishment or overweight or obesity. These are the bad nutrition. And then these people, maybe 150 students are having everything correct. Okay, all are having good nutrition, and these 50 students are having whether malnourishment, whether undernutrition or overweight or obese. Okay, so this is what we have measured. So that is the another step of our study, that is measures the prevalence or proportion, right? As we cannot establish the true causality, so what we can again measure is that after having these conditions, we have measured the nutrition, and we have to assess what are the factors are responsible for good nutrition and bad nutrition. So what can be the factors? What factors you have taken? Tell me. Tell me whose student project was this? What factors you have taken?
Two types of variables are taken: independent variable and dependent. Independent, age, sex, socioeconomic status, and
So when I am asking the factors, I am asking about independent variables, okay? Because your outcome variable or your outcome of choice is measuring nutritional status. So factors are age, sex, socioeconomic condition, maybe education, like the knowledge regarding nutrition, okay? Their family background, type of families, anything this can be. Whether they are living at hostel, whether they are day scholar, these all can play as a factors for their nutritional status. So these are we are taking into account as the factors which are responsible for this prevalence. So whether the prevalence of this, I told you, it can be 150 by 200 prevalence or proportion, and This is for good nutrition, and for bad nutrition 50 by 200. This is our prevalence of that. And now we need to know what are the factors playing role for this prevalence and this prevalence, right? That is what it is written here. See. So temporality भूल जाओ, टेम्पोरलिटी क्रॉस सेक्शनल स्टडी में कभी भी मेजर नहीं होता है. सो व्हाट वी कैन डू इज दैट वी हैव ओनली मेजर्ड द प्रिवेलेंस प्रोपोर्शन एंड व्हाट द फैक्टर्स आर हियर. रिमेंबर, factors are the exposure. Okay, factors are the exposure, like what age, things, all these determinants are the considered as exposure. And disease, if we are telling, like as we always describe our epidemiological studies with disease in respect to disease and exposure, here the disease is nutritional status and exposure is all these factors like age, sex, your phase, wherever he is studying, day scholar or not, socioeconomic status, what it is. So these are the exposures. So come to this. What is the schema of the study? So first, alter or change the events or conditions of the study. I told you, no means observational study. This is always true because we are not giving any intervention. Now measures more than on more than one occasion or not. Yes, that means longitudinal or follow-up, like in a point of time, we are following that patient up and we are measuring the disease at a different point. So that is a follow-up or longitudinal studies. And no, then it is the prevalence study. We are doing at once. So now what we can do is that, so from this slide, we can define it. So if I am telling you about the analysis of cross-sectional study. So first, what we are doing, analysis of cross-sectional study, first what comes as measuring the prevalence, right? The prevalence we already have measured. Prevalence measured, right? You agree? Prevalence we have measured. Now this, up to this, we have measured the prevalence. We have described these 200 people, what are their age, how many are male, how many are female, how many come from upper class, how many are coming from middle class, how many are day scholars, how many are hostelites. So all these are the descriptives. Okay, these are the descriptive part. We can end our study until this, that from this study, we have calculated the prevalence and we can describe the people according to different characteristics or variables. That is the independent variables, as I have told you. But another aspect of this study is that analytical cross-sectional study. What analytical part we can measure? Analytical part we can measure is that whether these factors, like what we have described already, are responsible for their nutritional status. That means this 150 student and this, I told you these factors are known as the exposure, right? So what we can see here is that if it is the disease, that means disease or the nutritional status, there certain will have the good nutrition or certain will have the bad nutrition. And there will be the factors. Suppose the socio-economic status, I'm considering only the socio-economic status here. Who are like the factors or the exposure? I am hypothesizing that the people who are from the upper caste, from the upper class, they are having good nutrition. From the lower class, they are having the bad nutrition. Okay. So here the exposure is income. So who have the good income are having the disease. Maybe some of them are having the good nutrition. Some of them are having the bad nutrition. And there who are having the lower income, some of them having the good nutrition, some of them are having the bad nutrition. These two, with this 2x2 table, if you know that we can calculate that whether there is a true association between this socioeconomic class and the nutrition status. That is our outcome of choice, and these are our factors or independent variable. You know how to do these things. Any statistical test we can use for calculating. This is the analytical part, purely analytical part of cross-sectional study. I told you cross-sectional study can only be descriptive, but if we have to do analysis, we have to go by making this 2x2 table. Any statistical test, your biostatistics, I guess classes have already occurred.
Some relative risks, attributable risks.
What?
Relative risks, attributable risks.
Attributable risk and
Relative risks.
relative risk and attributable risk. For which study we conduct these two? I have only 5 minutes and I cannot finish even cross section. So for which study we calculate relative risk and attributable risk?
Cohort
We
study.
calculate it for cross sectional study.
Odds ratio.
Odds ratio we calculate. We do not calculate these things in cross sectional study. Simple chi-square test. I do not know whether you have studied this or not. You just can remember this name. This is the chi-square test. Who have told me about your UG project? Have you done this test or you have only let it be simply descriptive? What you have done?
No, ma'am, no test.
No test you have applied, only the descriptive one. So you have not gone into this analytical part of cross-sectional study, right? Only the descriptive part you have done. So these comprises of the analysis of cross-sectional study, that is calculating the prevalence or knowing what factors are actually responsible for development of the disease or our outcome of interest. Now tell what are the advantage and disadvantage of this? Advantage, this comes often easy to do, cheaper, rapid result because we are doing it in a very short time. Much data is often available in the existing records or statistics, good for generating new hypotheses because from cross-sectional study, again, as we cannot establish the temporal association, we can just generate the hypothesis even that from even the descriptive part also, not analytical part, that if we see that more female students are suffering from malnourishment, so we can generate the hypothesis that maybe gender has an important role to play for development of malnutrition. That is one of our hypotheses. For proving that hypothesis, we have to conduct several other studies or we have to go to the analytical part of cross-sectional study. So only descriptive cross-sectional study is very good for development of any hypothesis. Disadvantage, it is weakest of the observational design. Other types of observational studies are better, like analytical studies are better, obviously. It measures prevalence only, cannot study the rare events because rare events are often not present in heavy amount in the population. It goes unnoticed. Quickly emerging, curing, relieving, dying events, we cannot measure. Okay. So that is also known as the Niemann bias. One of the bias that is included in the cross-sectional study, that we are only taking into account of the prevalent cases, not other cases. So if people who have died, who have left out, who have cured, who got cured, we are not taking them into account. So this is the known as the Niemann bias or bias, incidence prevalence bias. You know what is bias? Because for every epidemiological study, you need to know what are the biases are there.
Any systemic error in the analysis of result or observation?
Very good. So any systematic error. Error means any error means when the true results deviates from the appropriate result, when the true results is deviating due to in any step of the study, like from the sample size calculation, from the determination of population during conduction of the study. So any deviation of results, any deviation of true results is known as error when we are not getting the proper results. So that is the error of study. This error can be of two types. One is the random error, another one is the systematic error. This systematic error known as the bias. So systematic error, because it is known as systematic, because we can actually eliminate these errors, or rather this bias, by taking some measures. By being meticulous, we can actually eliminate this bias. Whereas the random error we cannot eliminate because it is occurring randomly or haphazardly. We do not know from where it had been generated. So despite, yes, there are methods for that, for the very higher statistical calculation needed, but random error generally we cannot eliminate. But the systematic error can be eliminated by taking meticulous step during the conduction of study. So this is the concept of error and bias in any epidemiological study. So now, what are the disadvantages? I told you that it introduces Neyman bias or incidence prevalence bias. It means we are considering only the prevalent cases, but not who are already infected but has not been diagnosed, who have already cured, who are already died. We are not taking them into account. No incidence, because it is a snapshot of time. Snapshot of time means it is always prevalence. Never we can calculate the incidence. So the relative risk here we cannot calculate. Who was telling me that relative risk we can calculate in cross-sectional study? Not true. We cannot calculate that. Only association, no causation. Even from the analytical part, I told you what is the difference between association and causation. Only the association can be established even from the analytical part of this study. We only can hypothesize, we only can tell that yes, there is an association between gender and nutritional status, but we cannot tell it certainly that it is responsible. For that, we have to do other studies. So causation or true association we cannot establish from this study, okay, from cross-sectional study. That is it.